Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. It's always a pleasure to have you on this Liti Capital AMA sessions. And today it's a special one. Once a month we do a project update, and this is our first session about this. So glad that everybody can join. Today I'm here with Jaime Delgado. He's co-founder and CTO at Liti Capital. How are you, Jaime?
Hello, guys. How are you? I'm fine, thank you.
I think that Jaime has some interesting things to share today. I'm here as well with Clara, our head of partnerships and global partnerships and PR. How are you, Clara?
I'm very well, thank you. Hello.
Excellent. Some interesting things happening from the PR event and partnership side as well that we are glad to share with you. And last but not least, I'm here as well with Slavian, our new head of global marketing. How are you, Slavian?
Wonderfully well. Thank you so much, Andy. Hope everybody is doing just as well on this wonderful Friday. And I'm really excited for what we're about to show you guys.
Excellent, excellent. So just to clarify before we start that session, we are going to do it on a monthly basis. And what we mean by project update is there will be some announcements, but I think one clear thing as well is that we will try to inform you about the progresses we are making on the current project. So that is important to know, and we want to share some ideas that we may implement in the future as well. So the goal of today's session is basically to give you a bit of everything of what I've just said, and we'll start by some interesting announcement and development on the technical side. Jaime, do you mind taking the lead for this?
Yeah, sure. Okay. The first data we have is that on Tuesday there will be the possibility for users and holders of WLiti to transfer their tokens directly from the app to Polygon. Going to Polygon is gonna make things easier in terms of transfers because the cost of transactions is significantly lower in Polygon, and which is a problem currently in Ethereum. On top of this, the staking program that we have already deployed in Ethereum is going to be available in Polygon, so that the newly bridged tokens of the users could be put to work on the staking program, having the same features and the same rewards that were available already in Ethereum. The incentive to create a pool for the WLiti token in Polygon, and this is going to be a pair of WLiti versus USDC directly. The incentive that we plan to provide for this are related to liquidity providers staking, and we have three programs. First is the normal staking of liquidity providers, where you provide liquidity in Uniswap, bring the tokens back to the Liti app, and you can stake those tokens and get rewards on top of the fees that you are already receiving in the pool. Furthermore, we have a program, and it's probably what we will be launching first, is single site liquidity provider. In this case, basically the user can come with USDC, and Liti Capital will provide the WLiti side, but 70% of the fees that are obtained in the pool are going to the user. So basically, the user will be receiving the fees as if he was providing 100% of the liquidity, but is providing only half of that liquidity. The other half is going to be provided by Liti Capital. This is to be done by the end of March. Probably the last week of March, we will have this functional in the app in both sides, in Polygon and in Ethereum. The last news that I have is just I cannot talk too much about this, but we are working on developing a game for the WLT holders. This game is related to litigation finances, to teach to the community about the aspect in a way that people can interact and collaborate with each other. And we are gonna put some rewards on top of the game, depending on the performance of people. And I think this is all the data that I have.
Jaime, we just have one question from Darfrost, who's just asked, what about the other way around, to provide WLiti and Liti provide USDC?
No, this is not part of the program. We can think about this in the future, but the current program is to provide the WLT, and the user will provide the other side. Then in this case, it's USDC.
Any other questions? The format I suggest, to make it more dynamic, that every time someone presents, like Jaime just did, please ask your questions directly, so that we keep the momentum going. Any other questions for Jaime? So you can ask your questions through YouTube comments, apparently, Twitter, Telegram, and we have people, there to read them. So don't hesitate to comment. We'll try to read your questions. I have a question for you, Jaime. So you mentioned that now we are going to have two networks basically available. How does it work from a very practical point of view when you log onto the platform on the Liti Capital web app? Is this user friendly? How did you create the UI, etc.? Can you please explain?
Yes. So we have made this to be as simple as possible. There is a single button in the app that it says switch to Polygon. You click on this, and then the app itself will open the wallet that you are using. Let's assume it's MetaMask. It's going to ask you, do you want to change to Polygon? And once that you are there, you will go back to the app, which is just now going to tell you you are in Polygon, but everything else is exactly the same as you were doing currently in Ethereum. So there is no difference. The flow is exactly as simple as it was before. It's just that the app is now going to tell you you are doing this now in Polygon.
Okay, excellent. Do we have any other question from the community?
I believe so.
Okay.
Namely from the Frost. What kind of rewards are we looking at for LP staking on top of normal staking?
No, the rewards that the users are getting by providing liquidity are directly on the pool. It's the 0.3% that they get for every transaction. And then when they stake, they will be receiving WLT as reward in the staking program. Now, in the case of the single side liquidity provider, it's important to note that you will be providing 50% of the liquidity, but you will get up to between 70 and 80% of the fees, so that you will get in fees on a liquidity that was not directly provided for the user. Now, the remaining 30% of the fees goes to Liti Capital, but Liti Capital will put that money back in the liquidity contract, which is going to increase the amount of reward that people get for staking. So everyone who is staking is going to get a benefit out of this program.
Okay, excellent. And Jaime, I want to ask you another question, because I know that or some at least of our token holders, they are newcomers into the blockchain/crypto space. So what do I need to do to use the Polygon chain? Do I need Ethereum? Do I need Matic? Do I need another currency? How does it work? Can you explain it?
Basically, in Polygon, you should replace Ethereum by Matic, and this is all. So once that you have Matic in your wallet, then you can send transactions and do everything in the same way that users do in Ethereum, with the difference that one Matic is probably enough to do hundreds of transactions, and this is the game changer there.
Yeah, and I think that people probably now understand that the overall concept is really to incentivize people to provide liquidity and then to make that liquidity pool grow as time goes. And because of the incentive related to the fees and the double reward system that you have put into place, we should see traction and traffic on that pool on the Polygon chain.
Exactly. So it's making the things easier because having a network where the transaction fees are not restrictive will allow us to do many things that we were planning to do a long time ago. Just to mention something that is currently in discussion, we were thinking about the competitions that we have been doing in centralized exchanges. Then those can be done now directly on chain, right? There are two things. First, the rewards that people receive for winning the competition, but also the other users that may not be directly interested in competing, they will see this as an opportunity to provide liquidity and profit out of the fees. Now, if you start putting all things together, you see that start creating a circle where once that the competition is launched, I can go to provide liquidity, go to the single side liquidity provider program, and then stake and start earning in all these steps, right? And the user is earning, but the community as a whole is profiting the most because there is more liquidity, there is less slippage in the cost of buying and selling WLT, etc., etc.
Very interesting. Thanks, Jaime. Other questions from the community members? I know that Dafrost is extremely active, and thank you, Dafrost, for that.
And he's in Australia, so goodness knows what time it is before.
Yeah, still very awake. I agree. Okay, so if there is no question, thank you very much, Jaime.
Are we sorry? One more has come through.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we have time today.
This is from Anushri. So can Liti Capital provide a YouTube video explaining how to transfer from Ethereum blockchain to Polygon? Elbow call.
Yeah, definitely we can do that. But you will see that there is an official bridge in Polygon to submit the tokens and from Ethereum to Polygon, and this is what people have been using. But then we recreated this in the app to look exactly as any other transfer of tokens. And the advantage of this is that our users don't need to switch between one website and another to do this. So you are in the app, you can transfer the tokens, stake, and do everything from a single place. But yes, definitely we can make this video. It's going to be a very simple video when you just click to say, I want to transfer this amount of tokens to Polygon. And that's all.
And Hamid, just a follow-up question on this. So you don't need to be KYC for that. You can transfer your WLT on the Polygon chain. Is that correct?
That is correct. In fact, the app have two sections, right? We have a section that is for KYC people and one that is for the public domain. And what we have done is that if you are not KYC, of course, you just go to the public version of the app and everything is there. If you are KYC, probably you have Liti. You may also have WLT. And once that you switch to Polygon, the app interface switch to the public version. Then everybody will be seeing exactly the same when they are transferring the tokens to Polygon.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Jaime. Any other questions? I remind everyone that we happily take your questions for the next AMA as well throughout the week. We are collecting them, so don't hesitate. If that presentation is triggering some new questions, burning questions, you can send them over to us. Okay, thanks very much, Jaime. I think it is time to switch to Slavian, our head of global marketing, to talk about the progresses and the vision that we have for Liti Capital from a marketing standpoint of view. Slavian.
Thank you very much, Andy. Well, the very first thing I'd like to say is, for some people, and especially when I joined, marketing at Liti Capital has sort of been like an elephant in the room, where some people are uncomfortable, some people are saying, okay, I see no movement, what's happening basically in the background. And I am very, very happy to say that that's changing. That's changing because the fundamental approach to marketing has changed and is changing still. Of course, this is a process. For the first time that I've seen this, marketing is now becoming internal for Liti Capital. And what this means, basically bringing marketing back into the company, means that we're going to hire new people for key categories that we feel are especially important for the type of marketing that we're going to do at Liti. And this multidisciplinarity, this the sense of these people being multi-skilled is what we treasure and value very much, because we're not just going to depend simply on people that are all-rounders. We're going to depend on people who know what they're doing, have the connections to do so, and have the skills to do so. So the part about marketing becoming internal gives us much more control. It lets us create our own campaigns. It lets us do things our own way and with the best for Liti in mind, because everybody has skin in the game in Liti, and it's not just simply a service that people that we casually do with people or with agencies. It's something that grows from within. Now, having access to this control, having access to these hires, means that we need to sit down and plan, and that's what we've been doing. The very first thing that we did was a situational analysis, where actually I sat down with the top brass, with Andy, and with great people from Liti, and we looked at what happens inside. We looked at the objectives and the interests of the company. We sought to align those with what we wanted to do in terms of marketing, how to convey them properly. So we refined everything that there is to refine about Liti Capital's messaging. And we are trying to make that very simple and very obvious, very clear for our target audience. We're putting special focus and emphasis on this. This means also that beyond the situational analysis, where we ran the diagnostics into each and every corner of the company, and it was a great exercise for me as well to understand where we were at. Now it's time for us to set things up. And the very first few things that I want to set up and that I'm making strides towards are the analytics. So by analytics, I mean we need to set up nice analytics software that really gives us an idea of what we're looking at in terms of web analytics. So I want to optimize, obviously, for the type of audience we have, for the acquisition of this audience. I want to study their behavior, and I want to study the conversions that they actually are submitted to or not. The best way to do this right away is obviously with Google Analytics on their website. That's going to give me an overview of all these areas, and that's going to be extremely easy to implement with other products. For example, like Google AdWords, when we need to be at the top for some of the keywords that Liti would just blow the competition out of the water. But later on, I'll speak more about that. So the very first key thing is obviously the web analytics part, but there's also the social media analytics. There's SEO analytics. There's the email marketing analytics. There's we need to obviously establish conversion goals and funnels, and we need to monitor for underperforming areas. This is a bog standard marketing process, really, when it comes to setting up analytics, and it puts us in a great place to do content, to write content. So we have an enormous trove of content already, but we're going to keep reviewing it, and we're going to keep creating content to educate the community on everything that concerns Liti Capital, really, on equity, on litigation finance, on interacting with Liti's tokens and attracting new investors. Questions that, for example, Jaime just answered for us, like regarding tutorials. That's content in itself, where we can basically use Loom to give people an overview of what we're looking at, and have like that miniature little head explaining everything that happens. We want to feel closer to everybody that's investing in this, that decides to invest in this company. So regarding the content, besides reviewing and keep creating it, we're going to divide it. We're going to repurpose it into different formats and recycle. We're going to make sure that people see this from different angles, and that not much content goes to waste, because I mean, we put our heart and soul into blog posts and into things that make it very clear to understand what Liti Capital is about. But it's obvious that we can't put blog posts on social media networks. That just doesn't attract people. We need to create visual ways of representing this content, and then driving people over to a blog post, for example, on our own website, where we envelop them more. And we actually make them, okay, pull the trigger and say, this is something that I'm really interested in. Part of that, of converting people, making them believe, is obviously by promoting social sharing, which is something that's, I am very sincerely, hasn't been working as well. We have low numbers of attendance, but we're going to fix those. And we're going to set up mechanisms like claps on Medium, like the likes and retweets. We're going to give more emphasis to all of that, so that the impressions that we get are much more than what we're doing now and getting now. In order to organize all of this, we're going to need a content calendar, obviously, and we're actually going to have to go out there. So not just on our own, with our own channels, but we're going to do guest posts. We're going to appear on high-profile content hubs covering litigation finance, asset classes, crypto investments, crypto educational portals. Basically, we're going to try and become top of mind for many, many people, especially the ones that are looking for a good, solid, passive income asset class. Then if we move over to social media, we're basically going to repurpose these same principles. We're going to become more visual. We're going to use social media sort of as an onboarding funnel. And we're going to pay more attention to the customer journey map that also could be initiated through social media. Nowadays, it's actually one of the main channels. SEO, SEM, as I'm saying, we're going to have new hires, especially with a specialization for this, and email marketing as well. I mean, for people that are a bit knowledgeable about email marketing, you know that the gold is in the list, really, and it's still like that, because email marketing represents a sense of commitment that you do not really get with social media, for example, where it's just casual browsing. So this will obviously be part of our plans. We already have lists. We already have very interested people, and we need to start activating them more with drip campaigns and with the right amount of incentives, and not be like a burden to them, like all day, or not have any idea in terms of campaigns. We're going to need to clear up that side as well with clear campaigns, not burdening them too much, as I'm saying, and getting right to the point for things that interest them. I'm seeing some comments here. I'm just going to go very quickly over the rest of what we've been doing for marketing, and then I'd love to address them. So for the marketing planning process, this is really what is meant, is sitting down and planning what we're going to do and making use of what we have and what we could have. Then there's a need to rebrand in terms of refining the brand identity and the brand narrative. And I can very quickly explain that through the fact that even if we're looking at the logo, even if we're looking at what we have right now, the brand identity of Liti Capital has an enormous amount of potential, but it needs to be developed to the fullest. For example, people need to instantly recognize that Liti Capital is striving to become the white knight of crypto, where people can access justice and they can invest in justice. So both things, which are very, very attractive. This needs to come off as instantly. Liti Capital needs to stop becoming just a project and become a brand. And we're going to complete that part of things. We're going to review the brand identity. We are already, of course, and the brand narrative that comes along with it. So you can expect to see updates on the visual side and also on the side of how we present ourselves. So that's basically a recap of everything that's been on my mind regarding marketing. And I'd like to go into some questions that you guys have.
Slavian,
yes.
Thank you so much for your comment. I have a good surprise for everybody here. So Amanda Grudinskas, our Chief Legal Officer, that is currently moving, traveling, has just a few minutes of availability to make an update on the cases. And I think this is an important topic. So what I would suggest is that she is actually just gonna quickly step in. Clara, you can maybe move to the case update slide. We just do it for 2-3 minutes with Amanda, and then we go back to you, Slavian, for questions, if that is fine for everybody. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to join. I'm sorry that I'm going to have to love you and leave you, but I figured that it's worth a shot. So just a kind of a quick recap on the cases. You know, as you all know, cases, that's our underlying asset. That is what we do, right? Our business model is so simple. We raise capital from you, our investors and our shareholders. We take that capital, we buy up claims, and then we collect on the upside. And my colleague Slavian used a very amazing word, trove, right? I love this word. It's just an amazing word because that's what our cases are. They are a treasure trove. Right now, we have 4 beautiful cases in our portfolio, and we're also filling up the pipeline. Now imagine the pipeline with 2 cases alone is roughly 1.5 billion. I'm not even making that up. On top of that, we have a number of portfolio cases that we're looking to acquire. So I know a lot of you are always questioning on the update on the cases. And it's not that we don't want to tell you, and I will tell you something today. It's more that given the nature of the cases in our portfolio right now, to update them, we need to protect them if it gets out, if our strategy gets out, if some of our cases may be publicly listed, and we have to really protect against that and influencing the market anyway. So thank you so much for your patience and your understanding. And as we grow, and right now we're in a phase of scalability, and we're looking to create a portfolio of cases, at least 50%, which are enforcement cases. What are enforcement cases? We have different types of cases. We have cases that we come in and we buy into, pre-case, like the Binance case, which I'll go into quickly. We have, cases we buy into, mid-arbitration, right? And that's like our large investment default case. And then we have other cases where we can buy in post-judgment. So what is that? That means that, our clients will go into court and they've already won. They already have a beautiful piece of paper that says, you've won $1 million, right? But they're tired. They have nothing left to go and actually fight to get that money. Or, for example, the counterparty may have circumvented the award, right? And dissipated their assets. And maybe their assets are now in 5 different jurisdictions. So what we do is we come in and we say, listen, for that $1 million award, we're going to give you, it's negotiable always, but maybe 400,000, right? Then we take that award and we go and enforce it. And we have the ability to enforce it, right? Because we engage in multi-jurisdictional legal strategy as the kind of the first maneuver. And then we do an asset trace on the assets of the counterparty, where we can go into the jurisdictions where they might hold a yacht or have a New York, penthouse, right? Wherever they may have assets, we can go in and execute against the assets. And once we get into that enforcement case portfolio, once we build that, and again, we want that to be 50%, right? 50% of our portfolio. That's really going to be our bread and butter. We can report a lot more regularly, right? Because we're going to own that award. We can't interfere with the judicial process because it's over. And by reporting, we can also put pressure on the counterparty, right, to settle faster, to settle up on that award. So just to kind of give you a quick overview, that's where we stand. So the Binance claim is really interesting. I'm actually an advisor to the steering committee, working very closely with the traders who lost substantial funds on the May 19th event. And together with White & Case, which is the top global arbitration law firm. And as you know, the events occurred on May 19th, and we have 1 year to file a notice of arbitration. We are well on track. We have a number of good claimants, substantial amount of damages. So you can expect in the next 2.5 months that you will see that update from us for sure. The employment dispute claim, And again, we have to be very protective about these cases because of the interest that we hold in them. We wouldn't want to expose anyone to any sort of media attention which could interfere with the case. We have a substantial, strong pace of work. The lawyers are working overtime. We're filing depositions, interrogatories. This is all part of the discovery phase of litigation. And this is where, particularly in certain jurisdictions, you can ask for information and the opposing party is obliged to give it to you, right? So if they have a document or a paper that hurts, their defense or their position, they still have to disclose that. And that's what we're doing now. So it's always about well-crafted questions, a request for documents, things, and information. As far as the whistleblower case, this is actually moving rapidly. It's going so much more quickly than we initially expected. As you know, with whistleblower cases, a whistleblower will get 10 to 30% of an award that the government finds through the judicial system. And so this is moving quite rapidly with a number of interviews with the authorities. And lastly, we have the arbitration tribunal case, which is a large investment default case. And right now, we're waiting to hear back from the arbiters as far as any issues, the issue of jurisdiction. So we are well placed to win that round. And once we win that round, we're up and onward to hearing on the merits. So that's where we are as far as the cases. And I'm sorry that I just have to pop off. But again, if you have any questions, we can note them. And I'm always happy to follow up. We can follow up at the next AMA. So thank you, everyone. I hope that was quick enough, but very informative.
Thanks, Amanda. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Have a good day. All right. So sorry for this, interruption. I thought, it was great to have Amanda just to explain the logic we have in building up the portfolio and, making up the assets that are the core business activity of Liti Capital. Let's maybe go back to Slavian quickly because you have received questions from the community on the marketing initiatives.
Indeed. Okay, just as a finalizing point, because we were basically really at the end, the rebranding doesn't mean like we're going to do a total makeover or even change the name. No, it means that we're going to realign what Liti Capital means, what's at the core, the messaging. We're going to realign that with a visual identity, and we're going to complete both. Because my intention is obviously that these two work together and that people are convinced as soon as they hear and see from Liti Capital, see what we're doing, see what we're involved into, that this may be something for them. It's about refining these channels whereby we get to the right people and the right people are very well convinced in us and more of them join us. So what say you, Clara? Where should we start regarding the questions?
Okay, so let's just have a look. So Dalfrost just asked about the crypto versus the traditional markets.
I see it here.
To raise.
Well, it's a very good question. So if I'll just delve deeper into it. It's a very good question. Liti Capital doesn't have like what most companies have, which is a single mission vision, and that's it. Liti Capital needs to be very present and needs to be very well understood on both ends, on both sides of the coin. Okay, because from a crypto perspective, you've got certain types of people and you've got certain types of expectations that these people have. From a traditional side, the expectations are a bit different. Now, we are trying to conciliate both of them, which also includes the segments of the market. They're not the same segments of market. So it's not just about crypto versus traditional. It really is about retail and institutional. So there are more segmentations to be done. And because of the fact that Liti Capital doesn't have like one straight vision and mission that you can simply define for one target audience, we need to be very careful about what we do and really think about how we can speak in the best, most attractive terms possible for all of these segments. We need to balance, exactly as you say, Defrost, we need to balance the interests that are at play in Liti Capital, because just, besides enabling access to justice, which is in itself a very, very important argument of being like this white knight that everybody knows and everybody runs to, this paladin that fights for justice, we also need to make people understand that there's money to be made on this side, and by investing in justice. So yeah, I think we should get to this question as well. And this, very interestingly, is one part that's missing from this planning process. It's a bit intentional. What I can say is we are making strides regarding the influencer marketing side. And this is very, very exciting, because what we're doing for influencer marketing, besides hiring people that are very good, that have the network to introduce us to the right people, is we are turning these these influencers into ambassadors for Liti Capital. We are not interested in short-term relationships that yield basically short-term hype. That's just not the model. If you look at Liti Capital, the whole model is anchored on legal perspectives, and the whole model is anchored on a type of token that just doesn't make much sense to start flipping. It's really a gem, and we need to make people understand that. So the way we do it with influencers is we get them and we convince them that it's in their very best interests to understand what Liti Capital is about, to possibly acquire themselves this token if it interests them, but to also make their audience understand that this is not just a short-term flip. This is something that you can get behind and feel confident in any market situation. It's about making their own audience fall in love with the concept. So that's really the core of what we're doing for influencer marketing. We have some very exciting names. We're just not going to reveal them to you now, not out of spite or anything, of course, guys. The community will be the first to know once we have the initiatives planned. But we're just trying to make them understand. We're just trying to make them understand this vision, that it's not for you to flip. It's for you to become, basically become involved in understanding what Liti Capital is about, and becoming an ambassador for us that just completely stops thinking about short-term flips or just contracts, like service contracts. It's about having a real relationship with everybody. And this will obviously help our name within crypto and outside, because what I'm thinking is, as soon as we get the first big personality, we're going to go after other ones, after the friends, after the network of that big personality. We're going to help them introduce this concept to them. And so by the end of it, we will have a set of people, we will have a group of people that really understand what Liti Capital is about, and this will drip from top to bottom. This will drip to their audiences. And so it's basically like osmosis, where we get this top to bottom. Of course, we're going to do bottom up strategies as well, but by getting this top to bottom, high profile personalities, they're going to be able to convey to their own audiences. And as you know, their own audiences intersect much. Crypto is still a very small world, and this is great for us, because once a certain number of people know us, then it's basically we're going to be on the eyes of many, many others that even come into crypto.
Very interesting, Slavian, and I think that people now may realize that we are trying basically to connect the dots between what you have said about educational material and how and why Liti Capital is somehow a different or unusual project in the crypto blockchain space, with this amazing asset-backed token. And I think it takes time to build up the fundamentals, and the way you explain it is very convincing to me, in the sense that it's better to be slow and to have all the fundamentals aligned before making this big marketing push, because otherwise you will lose the momentum, and there is nothing more worse than just this, right? So
Yes.
Thanks for this clarification and explanation. And I think that one of the key messages as well is patience will always pay off when you have such a different and probably game-changing token. Again, giving you a lot of rights and protections under Swiss law. This is how it is.
Indeed.
Are there other questions for Slavian?
I saw one and it really caught my eye. So thank you so much from Shevchenko. And I like the wordplay there, by the way. Best striker, that I've probably ever seen. So when marketing KPIs on a quarterly basis, for example, and what kind of marketing KPIs are we setting? Well, this is a very, very good question because we need to define success. As you say, the marketing KPIs, they're going to be distributed by channel. So for example, in terms of the website, which is one of it's the front space. It's really the front of the business in many ways. We're going to have to look for several key areas, categories, because the way I look at KPIs is I look first at the channels where I want to measure them, and then I look at the categories of KPIs. In the sense of websites, I tend to divide it by 4. I tend to divide them by audience, the acquisition of that audience, the behavior of that audience, and the conversions that I want that audience to do, basically to happen. So regarding audience, of course, I want to know where people are joining us from. Why that specific place? Have we run a campaign on that specific side of the world? Regarding the acquisition, so where have they come from? Like, was it an organic? Was it through organic incentives, like reading a blog post, like seeing some viral campaign that we did on social media, or was it simply because they heard of the name and they typed it into Google? For the behavior, it's basically what are they doing on our website, for example. Now, are they clicking away? What's the bounce rate? How are people trying to interact with us after reading the first few sentences? Are they looking immediately for a CTA button? Do they want to read more? Have they tried to contact us, even the team? What's their initial reaction to what we're presenting them? And for the conversions, of course, it's the click-through rate. It's the lifetime value for each user. Lifetime is obviously a stretch to say here, but it's really the value of each user, which is very hard to quantify, especially when you have crypto tokens. So I guess you'll just have to go with the average number of coins you hold in your wallet, and if that improves. Regarding the health, the performance of the project, like going away from the website now, and regarding the health and the adoption rate, of course, I'm looking at the rise in terms of trading volume. I'm looking at averages as well regarding the number of coins you hold, the number of WLiti or Liti even, because Liti is our end goal. What we want to do is for people to fall in love with the concept, see how easy it is to get involved with WLiti, and then cross them over into Liti. So they're there for a very, very long time. Okay. So that really explains what we're trying to do. Like the end game KPIs, everything that we're going to work towards are really like the rise in trading volume and the average. We want the average of coins held per wallet to grow, and obviously we want the number of holders to grow as well. Those are the 3 that we're really, really working towards. And every other marketing KPI, whether it be through the website that we measure, whether it be through social media, like the number of impressions, click-throughs, all of that has to translate into something tangible. And we are mercilessly going to subject each and every minor KPI to this. Okay, is it leading to an increased trading volume? Is it leading to more coins being bought per person? Is it leading to more people buying the token? These 3 are just for now are just what interest me the most.
And thanks for that, Slavian. So just maybe to give my 2 cents on this very, very quickly. I think that you have made very clear that the marketing KPIs are very much tied to the business KPIs in a way.
Yes,
and
indeed.
So we don't do marketing for the sake of doing marketing or please the community. This has a deep business objective, right? Because what we are trying to build up as Liti Capital is to create liquidity in what was previously an absolutely illiquid market. And in this sense, some of the KPIs that Slavian have mentioned, like trading volume, is important to achieve that value proposition. And this is, again, as Slavian said, something we are building up, and we are expecting to grow not only the liquidity but the volume and these key components, so that our overall concept become more and more interesting to more people and big players as well. So that's important to maybe just specify. Other questions for Slavian? Okay, it looks like there's none. I could ask you a few questions, Slavian, but I think that we all overall made the tour for the marketing. I propose that we, and thank you for that, Slavian. I propose that we now switch to Clara, our head of partnership and PR, that will give us an update, not about the cases. Yeah, thank you, but about the partnerships we are building and then some of the key events Liti Capital is actually trying to attend or attending.
Okay, thank you, and it's an absolute pleasure to follow on from Slavian. I'm very lucky that Slavian has joined the Liti Capital team, because obviously my role at Liti is very much in the public relations and partnership side, which is sort of like an offshoot of marketing, if you like. So being able to work with someone so amazing as Slavian, I just want to say that I'm very, very lucky. And just like Slavian, the PR and the partnership activity that I'm working on obviously has to be tied to business KPIs. Too many organisations do marketing or PR for marketing and PR's sake. But at Liti Capital, both Slavian and I have a strategy whereby everything we do has to make results, business results for the company, and obviously we need to know first what those results are that we're trying to aim for. So we are setting obviously KPIs in terms of number of wallet holders, etc. How PR differs mainly from marketing, just to really sort of hone in on what my role is. With public relations, as the name implies, it's about the relations we have with our publics. So first of all, it's about defining who those publics are, and of course current investors, potential investors, law firms, financiers, etc. We have a lot of audiences that we want to target, and obviously, as public relations, as the term implies, these are our publics. And so what I'm looking at is the relations we have with those publics. How often are we communicating with them? Do they understand what it is that Liti Capital does? Do they understand litigation funding? Do they understand the crypto world? And one of the biggest channels for public relations is the media. And by this I mean the mainstream media and the crypto media, but not media that we're buying. The whole point about PR is that we are trying to create natural, organic endorsement for our product, for our brand, for our entire offering. And so that is far more powerful than buying an advert, for example, whilst you have to do both, because lead generation and awareness building go hand in hand. What public relations is really doing is finding the people that matter to us. So that's obviously why Slavian and I are working closely together on influencer marketing. We need to find the influencers that we have to pay and the ones that we don't have to pay. So the ones that we don't have to pay are the ones that have a real voice out there and who genuinely endorse what it is that we are doing because they genuinely believe in it. We can all we all see when Elon Musk tweets about something, he has a massive impact. And I'm not saying that we're going to get Elon Musk tweeting about Liti, but you never know. Setting KPIs here that I probably really wish I wasn't. So that's my role. So we look very closely at the different press. You know, with Liti Capital again, we've got the legal media, we've got the financial press, we've got the crypto press, we've got sort of the mainstream newspapers, etc. And so the great thing about what we've heard today is that, you know, especially on the tech side, we've got some, you know, great stories coming out, and that's what I need from a PR perspective, is to, you know, to get those stories out there, so the people that influence the people, so the press, etc., can hear about what it is we're doing and have a regular stream of news. And so obviously the Polygon story is fantastic. That's something that our community want to hear via the influencers. I also work quite closely with our community on Telegram. We're going to be reopening Discord very soon as well, so that we can continue the chat there. We've got some fun competitions coming up, some just to create a bit of engagement, and I love the game idea as well. I can't wait to be talking more to Jaime about that, about how we can get our audience playing games, which is just fascinating. But anyway, so just a couple of updates on quite specific things. So as you know, I've spoken before about the Magna Carta Island. For anybody who doesn't know, the Magna Carta Island is in the UK. It's where King John signed the Magna Carta in 1215, and it represents power to the people. So in 1215, when King John signed the Magna Carta, he was not a very popular guy, and so the Magna Carta was created so that it gave power back to the people. And so, if in a way you could say that the Magna Carta democratized politics 800 years ago. So the island now is being recreated and being renamed as the blockchain island, so that not instead of the political side, this time it's about the financial side being democratized. And there are lots of events and things happening on the island, including a huge event in September, which will be incredible, and which Liti Capital is sponsoring and is part of, where we will have speakers from all over the world coming and discussing all things crypto, all things blockchain. So that's the Magna Carta. There will be more coming out on that, because we're looking at doing an NFT project with them as well. But again, that is work in progress. You'll all remember Scam Busters, I expect, from last year. Our scheme whereby people could vote for a particular case of somebody who had been scammed in the crypto world. We're going to be bringing that back shortly, but we're actually broadening the Scam Busters initiative, calling it the Crypto Watchdog. We're in conversations with some fantastic partners, so we can make this a really big initiative, because together we are stronger. Together, if we are working with other people to try and help clean up the crypto space from the scams, then it's a better place for everybody. So there will be more coming on that. And then events. So next week, Andy is going to Houston and will be on a panel at the LitFinCon, Litigation Finance Conference, which is fantastic. We're really, really pleased that we've been invited to speak at that very high-profile event. And Andy will be talking very much about the digitization and the revolution in litigation funding, and obviously Liti Capital is a big player in that area. And then we're working on other events. I won't go through them all in detail, but one event that we will be at, but in what capacity is what is being defined at the moment, is the World Economic Forum in Davos. If anyone has ever been to this event, it is literally the most incredible event for the blockchain sector. So you obviously have the formal official World Economic Forum that takes place usually in January, but it's been pushed to May this year, just so that we're as clear of the pandemic as possible. It lasts a week, and what happened about 5 years ago is some real trailblazers in the blockchain and crypto space set up like almost a mini World Economic Forum called the Blockchain Economic Forum, which runs side by side, and it's incredible. It's you just meet the most amazing people. I mean, when I was there 4 years ago, I walked past Mark Zuckerberg on the streets, and then Donald Trump 2 years ago. But anyway, that won't happen this year. So amazing opportunity for us to really get in with the leaders, the world leaders in both finance and tech, and that is exactly where Liti Capital should be. More coming up on events. We're doing quite a few private events as well with family offices, because part of my role as well includes working very much on the Liti side. So I'm working with our head of investor relations, Jean-Luc, who's based in Hong Kong, on the institutional and family office investors as well. So that's basically a summary from me. I know some of the things you've heard before, but it's just a brief update. And yeah, look out for the news next week on the staking. So
thanks very much, Clara. Do we have any questions for you from the community?
I believe we do.
Fantastic.
They're basically at the intersection between PR and marketing. So Shevchenko, I won't get tired of this. So with X number of WLiti holders, Y trading volume, what kind of figures are we able to share regarding what we're hoping to achieve about these two unknowns by the end of Q2? From my side, I can confidently say one thing, and that is all these efforts that we're going to put into refining our strategy, refining our channels, refining the delivery of content through our channels, much of it, obviously, we're in control of that. Now, there's a bigger reality that we also have to look at. And that reality, number one, is the market, the crypto market, because, well, we're inserted into it and we can't run away from it. But we are also inserted into the macroeconomic environment. Now, these sound like very fancy words to try and evade the question, but in reality, it's very simple. We're going to set up some KPIs that we feel are conservative regarding the current state of the market. We can't predict the future, so what we can do is look at the market right now and extrapolate a bit, but think, okay, what if nothing changes? What if it's just as bad, for example, as now? What if the lack of interest persists? And that's where we can get the figures from. Now, I can confidently say as well that the trading volume, these metrics that we have right now, they're nowhere close to good. And nowhere close to good means we need to make some very significant improvements. Significant improvements for me, obviously this is just an estimate, but 10% a month regarding trading volume at least, and number of WLiti token holders are just the bare minimum that I expect in order for something to be moving, even during these circumstances. Now, you cannot nail me to the wall on that because lots of variables depend on it. But this is at least my reference number. So 10% a month in terms of increase should be the bare minimum that we're aiming towards.
Okay. Do we have other questions?
Yes, I think this one is great as well. So
yeah.
What if Shevchenko basically does KYC for Liti? It's what I take it is that you believe this would give you a greater insight into how we're achieving our business objectives. What can you say about that, maybe Andy?
So sorry, I've missed the very end. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, so if you do pass the excuse me, pass the KYC process on the platform, and then you acquire Liti tokens, you are considered as being a shareholder of the company. That puts you at completely different levels, because again, on the Swiss law, you are a shareholder, so you have access to voting rights and dividend payment, and that gives you access as well to our General Assembly, where you can exercise this voting power. As per the other information, what we are trying to share is to provide regular updates on our material. It could be the white paper, could be the cases on the website, but we are very careful in what we do to that respect, given the secrecy component to win the cases. So it's by no means a way for us to not update, but rather to be successful. So that's the main difference if you become a Liti token holders versus being a W Liti token holders that can later on exercise their option to convert the token for Liti. And this has not been decided yet, but we are working as well on a pro rata model for dividend payment. So it means that the quicker you become a Liti token holder, the more portion of the dividend payment you should get. So we are trying to incentivize people and the community members to be with us mid long term to support our company and effort. So yeah. I hope that this answered the question. Any other questions or comments? I think that we are at the very end of this project update. So happy to answer, together with Jaime or any other person here on any topics just before we wrap up the call. Any questions, Clara and Slavian?
No, not yet. No. I think
believe
because
we've
we've been
answered
asking
them very well. Yeah.
you've been
Oh,
asking-
loyalty program.
Yes, I wanted to include this as part of my previous answer. So we are actually in the process of building that loyalty program. We have the framework for it, but it's very hard for us to make an announcement at this stage. We have developed two different models. And Clara, do you want to explain those two models for the Liti advocates and Liti supporters? And I would like to emphasize that this is work in progress. We hope that we can be more definitive on the next monthly project update about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, we have a lot of supporters, but there are some supporters that obviously have been with us from the very, very beginning and have been obviously extremely loyal to us. Those people in the chat, many of them are part of that. So what we are doing is we are creating two different clubs, if you like, whereby both audiences will get access to benefits such as a percentage off additional purchases, refer a friend offers. I think the really special thing is our top advocates, as we're calling them, litigates, will also get an NFT, and we're working on that project at the moment. I think I mentioned this on the last AMA. We're working to create some really unique NFTs that we will gift, I should say, to our very, very loyal Liti capital holders. So I'm looking at the questions that have come through, and Anushri, yes, you are definitely one of them. You've been an amazing loyal supporter right from the word go. Yes, so yeah, very exciting, but like Andy said, it is work in progress, but we're making good progress on it. Oh, and Darfrost, yes.
Indeed, that's already two.
Liti Capital without these two, at least, and so many others that I've come to really love their contributions in the group. Keep being great, guys. We're in the background, but we're reading.
Absolutely.
And you give us a lot of strength
Absolutely.
and support.
Absolutely. So I hope that this project update gave everybody an idea about the different pathway to success we are trying to follow, and we are trying to pave the way now with all the fundamentals almost in place to reach out to this very fast growth phase, and something that we cannot obviously disclose publicly, but we're in touch with big institutional players as well. We cannot mention the details of that, but this is progressing nicely. As much as Amanda was saying, the acquisition and the growth of the portfolio of the cases, that is the basis of what we create more value for token holders at the end of the road. So this is why we are putting so much time and effort on this. And the paradox is that we cannot be proud of it publicly, because it's all about negotiating those deals. I don't want to say in a secretive manner, but obviously there's a lot of things that we cannot disclose publicly. But be ensured that we are working very hard to create more value and to grow the business to the next level. And we would like again to thank you for your support in this. We really feel that you are there, that you understand what we are trying to achieve, and the concept that we are trying to build up that is different from what you see in the crypto space. That is a product that gives you rights, protection, amazing returns, that protects you as well against the risk of potentially losing money because you invest in a portfolio of cases. Are you okay, Clara?
I really got whacked, but I'm sorry.
And this is what we are basically trying to do, and it takes time, but I think that the direction is quite interesting, especially at the moment where the market, and I want to talk about the markets in general, with the recent geopolitical events involving potential war in Ukraine and Eastern Europe, is actually very much affecting the financial markets, the stock market. And I'd like to see and to maybe explain, that the nature of litigation finance as an asset class will become very shortly a safe net for many investors that are looking to have investment into an asset class that is uncorrelated or not affected by those types of fluctuation. It could be in the crypto market, and it could be in the stock market or bond market, or any financial markets, because that's a reality in which we are all living in. There is no stability or political stability in the world, and this has an impact on the economy, and people are looking for protection. And in this very general context, I think that the Liti Capital project is a serious candidate for investment. All right, so thank you very much, Jaime, Clara, Slavian, for your contribution today. Anything you want to add before we wrap up?
That was it for me. I'm sorry about that interruption.
No, all good.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, guys. See you on the next AMA. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Take care.